So Punk does what we all want to do to Logan Paul before we get an amazing stare down between Punk and Cena. And I can't lie, even as someone who didn't witness their feud from back in the day live, this got to me a little bit. The energy was absolutely electric, and I was super excited, but seeing them say that they missed each other did get me in the feels a little bit. So Seth then goes after Punk before Cena drags him off, and Seth shouts at him. So Punk does God's work and eliminates Logan before we get the most insane aura farm of the century as John Cena and CM Punk team up to take on Seth Rollins. Who would have ever seen this coming in big 2025? And they work off each other so well. It is truly magic watching these two work together. So they ping Rollins back and forth before giving him a heart attack, and they get ready to kook. One-on-one for the first time in 12 years, CM Punk and John Cena have an amazing back and forth sequence, which if it had happened in 2013 wouldn't have even looked out of place. They have a lovely hug together before they start trading blows, before Cena hits the double shoulder block before an attempted sit out is countered by an arm drag followed by a running knee, before a bulldog is attempted and countered by a sidewalk sit out. Before going for the 5-knuckle shuffle, Punk tries to counter with a kick, before Cena attempts an STF which is countered into a GTS, which is then countered into an STF.
Cena counter, center of the ring, STF coming!
Listen to that crowd, man. This performance has been fucking electric so far. Punk then counters the STF into the Anaconda Vice, which is reversed into a pin attempt before Punk gives Cena a swinging neckbreaker. He then gets distracted by Rollins before attempting a crossbody on Cena. And in the year of our Lord, 2025, I had to fight for my life to not scream at this, as Big John does a fucking roll through Mark Henry spot into an AA to Punk. This man is 47 years old, there's no reason for him to be cooking so outrageously hard. Bear in mind, motherfuckers were saying Cena's washed, by the way. Unlike the Rumble though, Cena's only out for 4 minutes before him and Punk hit a GTS AA combo and Punk pins Seth. Wow. So we're now down to the final two, who really should have been the final two in the Royal Rumble, but luckily the last two in the chamber is just as good, if not better, because of the cage they're in, and also just the fact that the chamber is actually booked well. So Cena and Punk stare at the Mania sign before John tries to show his last ounce of respect before being hit with a quick GTS which he kicks out of, before hitting another AA on Punk which he then kicks out of. Can I just say that Punk has ate shit this entire match, and not once did it feel out of place or overbooked. Where was this good booking for Cena's last 5 years? So Cena attempts an STF before Rollins out of nowhere stomps Punk on the alleged concrete, before, without hesitation, Cena pulls him back in and locks in the STF. And I found it really poignant that he didn't even hesitate for this. I didn't see the eventual turn coming at all, but him locking in the STF and doing it in a fashion a lot more brutal than usual was some great foreshadowing in the storytelling here. Along with Cena screaming that he's sorry just added onto the match's story so much more. Before, even though he's completely involved in another storyline right now, CM Punk comes out. Thank fucking God, another actual feud for Cena. Finally. And finally another one that actually plays on Cena's history in an effective way. Punk opens by pointing out how ironic the role reversal between him and Cena has been, and asks if he's mad because the company always chose him but the people never did. And that Punk had become the voice of the voiceless despite the company always working against him. He criticises Cena for saying he hasn't faced the best even though he has. He won't kiss the boss's ass like Cena does, because the people are his boss. If they want the truth, they get Ron Killings. And Punk will take the title off Cena, and he finally addresses one of the main conflictions in this Cena heel turn that nobody pointed out. And that's that at Elimination Chamber, when Cena first took an easy win, that he apologized for it. And that Cena knows that what he's doing is wrong. And you can see it all in Cena's facial expression. It's some really excellent stuff here. Punk then says that after he's finished with him, Cena will spend the rest of his tour going around the world apologizing for the man he's become, because the title turned him into a monster, just like it turned Punk into a monster back in 2012, which Cena knows better than anyone after having faced Punk so much in that time. Before Punk says that he'll become a monster to stop the monster, before challenging Cena to a match there and then, which Cena says if Punk wants a match, they'll fight at Saudi Arabia in Night of Champions. Balls in your court, hero. What do you say? Before Punk agrees and Seth Rollins comes out to end the segment. And this was some good shit, man. Finally dragging Cena's heel turn back to reality and out of fucking clown world was a much needed turn after the fucking slop we've suffered since Backlash. And a feud with Punk is a must-see one, as this one has the most ties to Cena becoming a heel besides Cody thus far. While I'm keeping caution for this match, because let's be honest, it will happen, but it's probably gonna get changed, because I'd be extremely surprised if Punk works a Saudi match. Goated reference by Cena here, by the way. Actually one of his best heel moves so far, but as the start of a build of a Punk and Cena feud, this was pretty great. And Seth Rollins being involved does also naturally narratively make sense, since he was the one who opened up the door for Cena to cheat. 8 out of 10 segment overall. Punk definitely hard carried, and I imagine the verbal spars will continue in the weeks to follow, but I'm at least somewhat interested in what's going to happen next. And I don't want to stop watching wrestling as a whole anymore, so that's good. Hopefully Seth doesn't cash in on Cena, because that narratively just kind of fucking sucks. But at this point, who fucking knows? If I have to watch Seth Rollins fail a cash in on John Cena after watching LA Knight get robbed, I will murder. So the GOAT comes out and names his wrestling Mount Rushmore, which consists of entirely himself. LOL. And goes on to say that while there has been great talkers and wrestlers in the past, and there will be in the future, there's none in the present, and none of them are comparable to him. And then Cena finally addresses some major holes in this heel turn by finally explaining some of his actions. What I said all the way back at the start of this video about how he'll respectfully yet factually explain why he's better than you and deserves everything he's got, has been flipped on its head to Cena explaining why he's better than everyone is because he's outsmarted the opposition at every possible turn. We can't truly see him because he already won this moment over a year ago when he announced his retirement. He scouted out his most likely opponents, entered himself into the Royal Rumble, and knew that if he lost, he could use his backstage power to get himself into the Elimination Chamber. He also knew that because of the Seth and Punk feud, that he'd have an easy win because they'd melt down and focus on each other. He knew that Cody would be too distracted by The Rock, so that Cena could take advantage of his blind sight. He could shock the world, seize the moment, and become an unpredictable opponent all at once. He took advantage of Cody's obsession with the big stage and the spotlight, and the relationship with the fans to get another easy win. He used the fans' nostalgia of the 25-year-long rivalry between him and Orton to his full advantage, to lull Randy into a false sense of security in his hometown and steal another victory. And he put R-Truth in the main event so that fans would care that he was getting fired, and they took the bait. And while the fans were taking the bait, he formed an alliance with Logan Paul to remove him as competition, and bought himself just enough time to size up his next opponent in CM Punk. He used Punk's rebellious nature and sociopathic tendencies to back him into the corner, forcing him, if he really wants a championship match with Cena, to admit that he's a hypocrite. Oh my fucking god, finally the Cena heel turn makes some fucking sense. After so long of whiny "you people" promos and not enough justification for these actions, in less than 5 minutes it's all been retroactively fixed and made better. He even somehow justified that awful match at Money in the Bank with this explanation, and it works to a miracle. John now seems calculating, cunning, condescending, and manipulative. His motivations finally make sense, and he's an intimidating factor again. What are the chances that the minute I denounce the Cena heel turn and declare it as a failure, John only goes and fixes the whole thing so quickly? This is absolutely excellent character work from Cena here, making his character more unpredictable while actually giving us a reason to keep engaged. It is fantastic, because now we want to see how far he has scouted ahead, if he already managed to plan this far ahead with still half of the year left to come. He even explains how he doesn't need to worry about Seth Rollins, because Seth wouldn't want Cena to lose the championship, because if he leaves with it, Seth would be the only world champion in the WWE, which does make a lot of sense considering the egomaniac that Seth Rollins is, which Cena also seen coming, having faced him so many times in the past.
Do you get it now? I am the greatest of all time for a reason.
You're goddamn right.
Cena then goes on to say while the fans were making up fake storylines in their head about whether he sold his soul or not, Cena's just been doing the math. He wins matches before they even start, he's crunched every number, cracked every code, and thank fuck he doesn't need the fans' appreciation, because they won't realise how good he is until 3 years after he's gone. Which is a goated line, but it really doesn't explain the last 7 years of no singles wins now, does it? And according to the math, there is no one worthy of holding the WWE Championship ever again before Cody Rhodes comes out. It's actually amazing how in 5 minutes Cena has managed to turn around his entire heel run so far and justify even the shittiest moments of it so far. This has been fucking excellent. Cena managed to justify this heel run and add more depth onto it while keeping in line with some of his few compelling motivations from before. He showed truly how cunning, calculative and manipulative he's really been the whole time. No one could truly see him, and opening up the possibilities for more matches in the future while also still beefing with CM Punk is keeping all the characters involved in this storyline really compelling right now. It is absolutely fantastic. Even the stuff with Ron is interesting with his new character, but as if this couldn't get even better, there's actually even more to this, as John has 2 funny backstage segments and comes out again later in the show. How the fuck did Nick Aldis not laugh at this?
What are you doing to me out there? You're making me look garbage.
So after telling Jimmy Uso to send R-Truth to the ring, the GOAT storms out and demands Truth come to the ring so they can fight, before CM Punk comes out and says that the people are tired of being disrespected, but the level of disrespect the two are capable of hasn't even begun yet. And Punk gives Cena one last chance to give the fans a happy ending, and we do see Cena actually consider it for a second, before he says why would he waste his time when nothing matters. He names some things that people from this crowd give a shit about, but I don't, so I just low-key agree with him. And as if he's going to cave to the people who will wear John Cena top and sing CM Punk's theme. Punk then says that shit is about to get real, before he says that if you tell a strong man a lie, it'll offend him. But if you tell a weak man the truth, it offends him just as much. And that when Punk was at his best, Cena could never beat him, and he's taken it upon himself to save wrestling from Cena. He then defends his sociopathic confidence by saying that it's really a compliment because it's his unwavering confidence in himself and his ability that has brought him to the top level, when people like Cena said that he didn't have it.
But I'm not as a confident man as you are, because I will not walk out into a sold-out arena dressed like a toddler who just struck out at T-ball.
That was cringe, but Punk is that goated on the mic that it was actually intentionally cringe line to mock the direst days of 2010's PG John Cena. And he also says how Cena's saying he's gonna take the belt and leave is making him sound exactly like Punk did back in 2011. And just like back in the day, here comes CM Punk to make John Cena's retirement tour watchable and palatable. And you know what? He ain't wrong. Cena cheesing it so hard to that line as well more than confirms that Cena was not happy with his dogshit program he worked before this. Before Punk says that he would follow Cena to hell to prove that he's better than him. And while Cena may be a GOAT, so is he. And he's the GOAT that he'll spit roast and sacrifice to the gods of wrestling, and he's a joke for even putting himself on wrestling's Mount Rushmore once. Before saying he could always see through Cena, before walking off and Cena gets jumped by Ron Killings again. And this was some absolutely excellent shit right here. Punk cooked the entire time by playing on his history with Cena and attacking and debunking this current heel character in a super effective and engaging way. Punk delivers his promos in such a masterfully worded and crafted manner while also keeping them so real that even in such a short amount of time he can say so much in such a captivating way that it's impossible to not be hooked on almost every word that comes out of his mouth. While Cena didn't get anything really in, again, I'd still give this segment a 9 out of 10 for how much investment it's managed to create in a Saudi match that may still be changed up to this point. It's insane how well Punk managed to cook here. Cena's gonna need a pipe bomb level promo to come back at this one, and honestly, after this show, I can't wait to see what he does next. Okay, when I said he would need a pipe bomb level promo, I was joking. Well, the match went about as long as most of Cena's recent TV matches have been over the last couple years, but my god, who even gives a shit when what we get after is so unbelievably god tier? Finally shown Cena's comeback to Punk after getting the shit ripped out of him on his last 2 appearances. And who would have ever, in the year of our Lord 2025, thought that Cena would cut a promo like this? So the GOAT comes out for a match with Ron, which basically consists of Cena getting dogged before getting himself disqualified. I didn't see what happened between the commercials because I work on Saturday mornings, and am I fuck staying up until 4 AM when I need to get up at 6. So Punk comes out to save Truth from a further beatdown, and him and Cena start scrapping before Cena low blows Punk and nails him with the championship twice and AAs him through a table. Before we get the most insane role reversal of the Punk and Cena feud imaginable, as Cena starts mocking Punk by doing his own version of the pipe bomb promo when Punk is laid out on the table, just like Cena was when Punk hit his back in the day. And do I dare say that Cena did a lot better than Punk did? He starts off by saying that before he leaves in 6 months with the WWE Championship, there's some stuff he needs to get off his chest. First of all being, he doesn't even dislike Punk. He likes him a lot more than anyone he's ever shared a locker room with, which hits on a long history of people who haven't liked sharing a locker room with Punk, which Cena even cheekily refers to later in the promo. But what Cena hates is the idea that Punk is better than him, as Cena is the greatest of all time, and that there's only one thing that Punk is better at than Cena.
You're the best bullshitter in the world.
John then recreates the 4th wall break that Punk did and says he's jealous of how Punk managed to trick the audience into believing he's something that he's not, and that he changes his values as much as Cena changes his t-shirts. Which, if this match goes ahead at Saudi, then that statement is most certainly true. He then says that Punk is just a loudmouth opportunist who will step on the necks of people who actually put in the work, before shouting out Claudio Castagnoli, Nick Nemeth, and Matt Cardona. And while at first they might seem like some random names for Cena to throw out, this is some actually very clever wordplay by John, as Matt and Nick is meant to be a direct dig at Punk's squabble with the Young Bucks, whose real names are Matt and Nick. And Claudio Castagnoli's initials are CC, which is a direct dig to Colt Cabana, who Punk used to glaze the shit out of, and even shouted him out in the original Pipe Bomb promo. And they had a very recent public falling out. So these were some goated subtle digs by the GOAT. Where has this nuance and intelligence been in Cena's promos, man? Feels like we lost the plot for so long. Cena then boasts about how no one will cut off his mic to save Punk because he's his only friend, and to remember who gave him his platform for his pipe bomb in the first place. And all Punk's ever done with it since is regurgitate the same 5 microphone moves of doom, and that he's promo potato salad. Which is also a previous reference to how Punk used to criticize Cena's work rate and say that he wasn't as good of a wrestler as Punk was. He then criticizes Fed-washed Phil by pointing out how he's not the voice of the voiceless anymore, and hasn't been for a long time as he's a millionaire. He's more of a capitalist than a punk, and he's not against TKO, he is Mr. TKO, and they technically knocked his balls off his body. I personally couldn't think of a worse insult to be called, but to be honest, especially since Punk's flippy, floppy, and apologetic nature has only been highlighted so much since he came back to the WWE.
Your tweets are strong. Your actions are weak.
If this match actually happens in Saudi Arabia, Punk is gonna have to apologize and look like the biggest, spineless coward ever just to not get booed. Holy shit. As Cena says that he'll prove once again that day in, day out, no days off for 25 years, he is the greatest of all time.
See, they know.
The best part of this Punk feud so far is that ever so slowly and more over time, we're seeing the return of face John Cena, which while I was originally very opposed to seeing him again, when it's been hinted at to in a way this well, just with those little glimmers of hope that he's still inside there, it makes Cena's character so compelling again. Sauce like this is what's been missing from this heel run since the Randy match, and it's fucking fantastic to be seeing it again. Cena then remarks that Punk was the best in the world. For 7 minutes, 14 years ago. And if after Night of Champions Punk still believes that, then the world is a very small place after all. Before he says "You're welcome, Grand Rapids" to a thunderous ovation, and goes on to say that Punk needs to bring his A game to Night of Champions, as the mood is starting to change. He then says that the USA Network can keep the extra 2.5 minutes, cause he doesn't need a bomb, and Elvis has just left the motherfucking building, before going to walk off, only to come back and drop one last diss on Punk.
Thanks for letting me rip off your promo to make you look even more foolish.
And this was some good fucking shit, man. This, without a shadow of a doubt, has been seen as best promo since turning heel. Hitting on real life events in subtle and not so subtle ways, while delivering some compelling character work and spicing up the feud in a way that hasn't been felt since Cena was ripping down Orton's family legacy and cooking Cody Rhodes. Somehow outdoing the original groundbreaking Pipebomb by taking everything that was so great about it and switching it on its head to destroy CM Punk in a way which takes down his wrestling character and even him as a person in some parts, in a way that only John Cena could do? Easy! 9 out of 10 for this segment right here. While the match with Ron was definitely underwhelming, and Punk selling on the table for over 10 minutes was a bit goofy, it doesn't detract from the absolutely masterful promo from John here, really and honestly tearing down Punk in a way that no one has really been able to do since his return to the WWE. His feud with Seth Rollins wishes it ever had this much heat and history to it. Very happy to be saying that it looks like the heel run is finally getting back on track, after spending so long in the clown dimension. Hopefully, if he manages to make it there alive, Punk can deliver a promo just as heated and personal to Cena next week.
I don't need a bomb. Elvis has left the motherfudging building.
I sincerely apologize to you and all of Saudi Arabia.
You know, it really is a shame that despite making it to Saudi Arabia, Punk won't be competing in his match against Cena, as he has to go into surgery to replace his missing backbone. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm just gonna be straight up. Before reviewing this segment, I'm all for a bit of fun and goofiness and wrestling occasionally, but fucking hell, man, some of this was so cringe. I haven't been able to find any footage of it, but some of the line delivery in this promo was straight ass, to the point where WWE had to edit the show for the American broadcast to fix some of the flubs. That's really embarrassing, but let's just get on with it. So the GOAT comes down to the ring in this beautiful purple fit and tells the crowd to get used to it, because this is what a winner looks like, and that Punk is a loser. Night of Champions is a formality, and he can do nothing as he's been backed into a corner and is all out of tricks. Before Cena's old basic Thuganomics theme starts playing, and Punk comes out cosplaying OG John Cena with drug-free brass knuckles. And I can't lie, this is hilarious. Punk wearing his knee pads down to his ankles with the ill-fitting shirt, backwards cap, armbands and jersey was a very surreal sight to see, and it was honestly just funny at face value alone. The rap itself is what I really have issues with. While some of the bars themselves aren't actually too bad and some of them are quite funny,
Fish belly white Hulk Hogan, but somehow more problematic.
there's no other way to say this. Unk has absolutely no flow, and the multiple line flubs made some of this just... oh, it was a yikes, it was a yikes. Cena's facial expressions the whole time were really funny, and Punk did get in some really good digs in about how Cena's slow, his ex is back working for the company, he's buried more talent than The Undertaker, Batista is a better actor than him, millions chant that he can't wrestle while people chant Punk's name, and that John makes everything about himself, but man, the delivery on some of this is just straight ass.
He gets good movie roles, that much is a fact.
But for the final Cena Punk promo interaction, it wasn't half underwhelming. Considering how serious and personal this feud has been up to this point, including Cena's best promo as a heel so far, literally just the week before this, having the final part of this feud be a comedy segment was just a weird decision. I'm not against having fun in a feud or anything, but this was not the feud for it, man. Hopefully Fed Washed Phil and the greatest of all time can put on a match that lives up to their expectations set by their interaction in the Elimination Chamber.
You still always be the Marine to me.
Well, that was a fucking banger, but man, the Fed needs to stop. They just give up trying to replicate the magic of WrestleMania 40. Every single big title main event match having screwy run-in finishes is getting so boring and repetitive. It just isn't shocking or surprising in the slightest anymore. And it really did put a dampener on this match for me, despite the match itself being of pretty great quality. And we're seeing more and more of babyface Cena's comeback as this feud with Punk concludes, and it's really made for some compelling moments as of late. So let's see how this one holds up. So after cringing us to death the day before, CM Punk comes out and waits for Cena in the ring in the same way he did back at Money in the Bank 2011. Because even at his lowest, he's still a family guy. Before the GOAT comes out and aura farms his way to the ring and the match begins, they lock up for a bit before Cena breaks on the ropes before Punk goes for a headlock, which Cena escapes and does some joint manipulation before going for a cheeky pin, and Punk then side headlock takes down Cena and they mat wrestle for a bit. Cena then gets Punk in the corner before they tie up again and Cena knocks down Punk and does a cunty bow. A very different pace for a Cena match on the retirement tour, but so far so good. Seeing some actual wrestling has been nice and there's an appropriate amount of funny moments in the match as well. Cunty Cena is best Cena. The crowd is also insane this whole match, and they do a great job at accentuating the feeling throughout the whole thing. Cena kicks and then punches Punk before headbutting him, and knocking him out of the ropes multiple times and fisherman suplexes Punk before body slamming him and going for a pin before another locker. Cena goes for the double barge which Punk counters into a GTS before Cena escapes to the outside and Punk mocks John. Which works really well for the match as it presents the story of Punk still being Cena's biggest antagonist, as he doesn't sweat him and knows all of his old tricks. Cena gets back in the ring to eat some kicks before Punk attempts a Black Widow, paying homage to his GOAT wife AJ Lee, which he doesn't really pull off well, so Cena counters it into an AA which Punk dodges by going for a pin attempt before knocking down Cena. Punk hits a side Russian leg sweep and fails a pin attempt before working on the arm for a bit, before successfully getting Cena in the Black Widow and Cena throws him off. Cena punches Punk for a bit and big boots the ever-loving shit out of him and aura farms for a bit. Definitely not the pace of match I expected from this match considering their history and their previous encounter, but this has definitely been a great match so far despite the botched spot. Cena then double barges Punk and side release spin out power bombs him, hits the 5-knuckle shuffle and goes for the AA, before Punk slips out, heel kicks Cena and gives him a swinging neckbreaker followed by a running knee and a clothesline. Cena then moves way too close for the elbow drop and Punk goes for the GTS which Cena counters into the STFU. Just like at the Chamber, and just like back in the day. This will always be such a goated counter. The STFU stays in for a bit before Punk then counters into the Anaconda Vice, which Cena rolls into a pin attempt and nails Punk with an AA. The match has picked up the pace now and has naturally rolled its way into second gear, and it's definitely been Cena's best match since Backlash. Not that that's saying much, but with this video being made in real time, you have no idea how long it feels since Cena was involved in anything match related that's even been good. Punk escapes the AA and DDTs Cena before locking in the STFU on Cena. He gets to the ropes before Punk hits a running knee and goes for the Bulldog, which Cena blocks and spins out Punk again before going for the 5-knuckle shuffle, which Punk counters with a kick, getting Cena up for the GTS which he escapes and pushes Punk into the ropes going for a swinging neckbreaker, which Cena then counters into the AA for the 2. These two have such natural and great chemistry, it's actually insane, you know. As great as the hype moments and aura match at Backlash was, This has undeniably been much better in ring so far. These two were just made to fight forever. Cena goes for a super AA, which Punk escapes and goes for a crossbody, before Cena busts out the fucking roll through Mark Henry spot again and hits another AA on Punk. Seeing John bust out one of his most famous babyface moves is another great indication that Super Cena will be coming back more and more over time. What a fantastic spot. As much as it sucks that AAs are just constantly kicked out of now, the pop for one being hit like this will never be replicated, especially when the build up to one is just so good. We then get some even more interesting character work from Cena as he goes to pick up the belt to put Punk away, just like he has in his last couple matches. The ref isn't even knocked down either, he's just going for a straight DQ to end this one. But as the fans are chanting "No, it's Cena," he looks around in contemplation, thinking about all he's done to get him to this point, maybe starting to reconsider his actions and what he's become. Up until he looks at CM Punk and puts down the belt before he eats a GTS from Punk, which he kicks out of. Fucking phenomenal stuff from Cena here. While the slow build of John turning back to the good side has definitely been sorely missed for a good chunk of this heel run so far, Punk being the one opponent for Cena to not want to cheat against works wonders for his character development, since he's been the first one to speak to John and has a deep-rooted personal history with him and could always see through him and knows what he's made of truly. It works all the better for this match since Punk was the first one to make John fully reconsider his actions since the start of this feud. Good shit, man. They trade blows for a bit before Cena goes for the double barge and knocks down the ref, and it's at this exact moment that this match's quality gets considerably weaker, despite the fact that up to this point it's without doubt been the best match of the tour so far. So Cena eats a GTS and gets pinned clean, but the ref is dead after eating one shoulder barge, because logic. Seth Rollins and his goon squad then come out and jump CM Punk, because apparently this feud still needs to be going on. Punk almost kills himself diving over the top ropes before the Bronze fuck up a slam onto the announce table, before Seth calls for a ref to cash in on. The current GOAT ref then charges down to help Seth cash in before Cena fucking murders him and shouts at Rollins before giving him an AA. Taking a bump like this at 61 is fucking insane, you know. Cena then gets jumped by the Bronze before Penta comes out to take out Bron Breakker for some reason. Imagine telling yourself when Cena announced his retirement that Penta of all people would be involved in one of his matches. So Penta eats shit before Sammy comes out as well and they work together to take down Breakker. That definitely was an event that needed to occur on pay-per-view and definitely couldn't have just happened on a random episode of Raw. Big Bronson Reed then goes for a tsunami on Cena before Punk pushes him off the top rope, and despite being in the equivalent of 40 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit isn't real, get a grip, but despite being in 40-degree heat, having wrestled a great match for almost 20 minutes, and being 48 years old, John Cena, Super Cena, awakens one more time as he gives an AA to the 330-pound Bronson Reed. If anyone in the comments tries to deny that this man is the greatest of all time, I simply will not fucking hear it. Holy shit, man. That was a fucking incredible feat on its own, and only works more at further developing Cena's character, as he does arguably his most famous babyface move in AAing absolute monsters of men, to the shock and disbelief of everyone involved. Cena then looks conflicted once more, as he looks at the crowd and him and Punk have a long stare down, before recreating the iconic handshake spot from the Elimination Chamber, with Cena looking like he's about to do an evil turn again, before Punk sees it coming and goes for the GTS, before he gets nailed with the briefcase and stomped by Rollins, before Cena steals the win. Wow. That ending was fucking shit, but honestly this match was straight up fantastic. Another 8 out of 10 for this one. Best match of the tour so far by a country fucking mile. I really wanted to give the match a 9, but that ending stretch really bogged down the experience quite a lot. These run-in fests are so overdone and played out that they're just boring and predictable at this point. especially since Sami and Penta have absolutely no connection to Cena right now. It felt like this was just here to set up the next episode of Raw, not like a climactic, impactful ending to a great story. Just another annoying way to shoehorn in and prolong the already too long Seth Rollins and CM Punk feud. While Cena hitting an AA on Bronson Reed was incredible and definitely added to his character development, it wasn't worth ruining this match's finish for. But even despite all of those flaws, this was still a great time. Punk and Cena have such effortless chemistry that the match in ring was Cena's best in years. And I'm talking like pre-Hollywood Cena best. The story throughout was brilliant as well, with them knowing each other so well that one had never truly had the upper hand against the other for long. And much like the build of the feud itself, this is the best showcase of Cena's character so far. Slowly, more and more over time, showing us the comeback of face Cena has been done masterfully throughout this entire build, and it's done to perfection in this match. With him still obviously being heel, but showing us glimpses of his old ways coming back, it's fantastic. Absolutely excellent match to end a pretty mid-ass pay-per-view overall. The two are definitely started getting back on track with the CM Punk feud, with undeniably the best build to a match that Cena has had so far, with the match itself being absolutely excellent. But even that feud fell off towards the end with the very out of nowhere and randomly placed comedy Punkanomics segments. And even as great as their match was, the finish to it was so underwhelming and predictable. It just put a dampener on the whole thing.